تذكر يوما كنت تعانق دمعة الفكر تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Salam and peace to all of you. Good job. And yes, I deliberately made this rhyming title just to see how Usman will handle it on the day. Reachers, teachers and preachers, how will you serve God's creatures? I like rhyming, as you can tell, and also I've had a few things on my mind in the past little while. A brother is here from Oman. I was recently in Oman attending a course there, which I was pleasantly shocked to find myself sitting next to a brother from Glasgow University while I was sitting in this Quran reflection course that was going on for a week. I had no idea this was going to happen, but over lunch the brother says to me, "Are you from the UK? Are you from Scotland? Are you from Glasgow?" In Arabic. And I'm looking at him in utter shock and disbelief, but it turns out he's a student here. And that course actually was one of the things that's been, really jogging a lot of thoughts about what it is to be a Muslim, what it is to be a practicing Muslim, what is this thing called Islam? Obviously I've thought about that before, but it's one of these questions you need to come back to again and again. And it was centered, this course, as I said, around the Quran and our connection with it. Secondly, there's been a lot of things going on, in social media especially about, what it means to be a public Muslim or to be a celebrity Muslim or to be a preacher or a teacher. And that's why these words were buzzing around a little bit. And I thought to myself, what are we doing here as Muslims? What are we doing as individuals? What are we trying to achieve? What is it that we're aspiring to? So when Usman asked me for a title, I guess I thought the word preacher, and I thought what rhymes with preacher, and then it all just came from there. So that's just to explain that away. But now I found that actually, on reflecting further on the title, I found some quite useful framework there for what I want us to understand. And really, I'm not going to say anything that's like rocket science or any of the other degrees that you're studying here, right? Do they teach rocket science at Glasgow? Maybe in Edinburgh, okay? So, the starting point really here, I will go back to a khutbah that I gave in the chaplaincy here a couple of weeks ago, which was around Surah Al-Asr. And Surah Al-Asr is something which we have to come back to time and time again. Pardon the pun, I do a lot of these things. So because it's an oath by time, and it speaks about the human being, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Okay? So what I want us to take from this for the moment is the essential message about being human. Okay, what is a human being? What is it to be a human? And what it is to be a mu'min and someone who works for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because all of mankind is described, all of humanity is described as being in loss. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Okay? The message here of this surah is so central to the deen that some of the scholars said, if nothing else from the Quran had been revealed except Surah Al-Asr, it would have been enough for the people to understand. So, what is it here? It is the exception. How are you the exception to being in loss? If mankind is in loss, how do you be an exceptional human being? You do it through these four things that are mentioned. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ is the starting point. And then the togetherness of exhorting and reminding one another with truth and also with patience. If we go back to the first 2 points, believing and doing good deeds. These are really what everything to do with religion is connected with, either iman or amal, or both. Because when we go to other ayat of the Quran that speak about iman and amal, oftentimes you can barely distinguish which one is being spoken of. Okay? So if we want to learn about iman, we understand that iman and faith is something that resides in the heart. And so we start here. And when the Quran is describing for us the mu'minun, the believers, the people of faith, there are a number of descriptions that we find in different surahs of the Quran. I'll mention around 2 of these. So first of all, in Surah Al-Anfal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the believers from ayah number 2 onwards. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. The believers are only those, إِنَّمَا, it's restricting it to this description. Only those can be called believers who, when Allah is mentioned, their hearts tremble. Wait a second. I thought a Muslim is someone who has got a beard. I thought a Muslim is someone who comes from particular countries, likes particular food, someone who wears hijab, someone who, even we see them in the masjid and they're praying. Even we can mention all of the 5 pillars of Islam. We haven't got to them yet. Don't worry, it will come. But first thing mentioned here, when Allah is mentioned, their hearts tremble. Tremble out of love. Tremble out of awe and fear. And these things go hand in hand. And when our signs and our ayat and our verses are recited upon them, it increases them in faith. زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And they depend upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They trust in Allah. الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. Those who establish the prayer, they are regular in their salah, which links them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this worship. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And they spend from what we have provided them. Okay, and this is one of the crucial points that key points that I want you to take from this talk or this discussion or this reminder, is that these things are always paired together in the Quran. The salah and spending. The salah and zakah. Right from the beginning of the Quran, after the Fatiha, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ. Here in this ayah, is this right? الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Okay, so we've got the pairing between the salah and also the spending from what Allah has given. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives all sorts of things, all sorts of rizq to His servants. And that rizq we can call capital. So it might be financial capital, it might be intellectual capital, like knowledge, it might be spiritual capital, physical capital. Time is the most precious resource that we have. So to give from all these things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the human being, this is what it means to spend from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided. And so this is something that we find again and again in the Quran. The pairing of salah and zakah, or the pairing of salah and spending. Okay? Al-Mu'minun. There is a surah called Al-Mu'minun. If we're trying to investigate who are these faithful people, there is a surah that begins by saying قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Surah number 23. And again here, what are the things, the qualities and attributes that are mentioned to explain why the believers are successful? Why are they successful? Why have they succeeded? الَّذِينَ هُمْ في صلاتهم
تذكر يوما كنت تعانق دمعة الفكر، تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة